Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is the final look that I did. You guys will see how I created this look in this Hooded Eyes 101 video. Yeah, lots and lots of information. I felt like I wanted to do this so that I could, have a reference, because a lot of my tutorials are very in-depth and detailed, but I really wanted to kind of get a all-in-one compilation kind of out there so that when I do my tutorials I can make them hopefully a little bit shorter and I can just kind of reference you guys to this long and detailed 101. So if you have hooded eyes, small eyes, or eyes like mine that are slightly downturned, a lot of these tips and tricks will help you. You guys know that, we all have different eye shapes and there's different level of hoodedness. So you might have to adjust some of these tips and tricks to fit your particular eye shape. And I want to talk really briefly here, quickie second before we get into the tutorial, about what exactly is hooded eyes. Hooded eyes is not some kind of disease, and I know I've said this and I've said this over and over on my Instagram. It's not a disease. Some of the world's most beautiful women have hooded eyes. Let's take a look. As you can see, hooded eyes is not a disease. Some of the world's most beautiful women have hooded eyes. In fact, they even call them bedroom eyes. They're sleepy. Some people find them very sexy. But the truth of the matter is, if you have hooded eyes, you know that the struggle is real, because we can't follow a cookie cutter, one size fits all, typical YouTube tutorial that everybody does. We can't follow that because they all go in with a large fluffy brush and they windshield wiper some color into their crease. Well, we don't have a crease. We have some skin fold that hangs down. We have a hood that hangs down that encroaches on our lid space. So we have to put in a fake crease, which is higher than our natural crease, so that our shadows can be seen when our eyes are open and we're looking straight ahead. Because if you put them in your natural crease, when that hood comes down or when you're looking straight ahead, you're not going to see it. They're going to be gone. So we create a fake crease that's higher than our natural crease so we can bring the shadows up a little bit higher so that they can be seen. We are shading the hood. We are working right on the socket bone. So we're working up a little bit higher. We're not down here in our natural crease because the colors will not be seen. So we're working right up here on our socket bone. I go over all of that. I go over creating the fake crease, which brushes to use, how to map out a template for the outer V so everything stays lifted, and even how to do a baby wing. I go over all of that in the tutorial, and I want to stress a couple of things. I'm not a professional. I'm just somebody who's learned some tips and tricks. I suck at explaining anything. I literally comment on people's social media stuff, and people go off sometimes. I'm like, dude, whoa, chill pill. How did you get that out of this? So I suck at explaining anything, but I tried my best to deliver the information and explain all of the tips and tricks that I have learned in working with my eyes, which is tricky to say the most, to say the least. I have hooded eyes. They are slightly downturned. I'm 57. I have aging, mature, crepey, old, wrinkly skin. I mean, it is what it is. I'm sorry that I can't put it any nicer, but it is what it is. So yeah, I know that the struggle is real. So I just want to say these tips and tricks and suggestions work for me. They may not work for everybody. We all have different eye shapes and we all have different levels of hoodedness. If some of the tips and tricks do work for you, you may have to adjust them depending on your level of hoodedness. But these are just things that work for me, and I'm just sharing them and passing them along to you, and hopefully some of you will find them very helpful. So with all of that said, we're going to get into the tutorial. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified of all of my future uploads. And if you like this video, please smash that like button and comment, share, and subscribe so I can grow my channel. And with all of that said, let's get into Hooded Eyes 101. All right, so there's gonna be a lot of information thrown at you guys here in this video. I tried to figure out how I could deliver all of this information in sort of something that would flow together. And so I came up with you know, trying to do it in different segments. So the first segment will be shade and light, how to contour the eye, how to shade the hood and create the fake crease. And the second segment, I'm going to do how to create an outer V, because if you have hooded eyes or slightly downturned eyes, your outer V is in a slightly different area and we want to elongate and lift up. So I'm going to show you guys how to create that template. And then lastly, kind of how to create the illusion that your outer lid is not so downturned if you have downturned eyes, and just kind of how to do that so-called baby wing, or how to just add some, you know, color out there. If you didn't want to do a full-blown wing, or you didn't want to do a wing at all, just kind of going over that. Also want to show you guys some different brushes and some different ways to apply the color. Think about it like you're going across town. There's probably 4 or 5 different ways to get there. Not any one way is right. Some might be a little faster than others, but it may not be the most comfortable route for you to take. So think about it like that. You know, there's lots of different brushes you can use. There's lots of different ways to do these techniques, tips and tricks. So you have to find what works for you and your eye shape. And I cannot stress that enough. You cannot follow, you know, your favorite YouTuber or somebody that you like, because, you know, unless they have the same eye shape that you have, it's just not going to work. So I can't stress this enough, to study your eye shape, know your eye shape, and try different things that will work on your eye shape. Just because something works on me, or, you know, another YouTuber, does not necessarily mean that it's going to work for you and your eye shape. I cannot stress that enough. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the first segment, which is creating the fake crease, shade and light, and I'm going to zoom you in. All right, I went ahead and removed the wing, because you want to keep in mind when you're actually creating your fake crease, you're also mapping out the shape of the eyeshadow look that you are going for. So I went ahead and removed the wing because I'm not going to be doing a winged look today for my demo. So I created this wing using this, I don't remember if I said this, but this is a Sephora Pro Angle 207 brush, and I like this because it's angled on one side and has a little flat smudger on the other, which I often use as a little eraser to kind of clean things up. So I love this brush, but here are some other options. A pencil brush. Almost every brush, you know, brand has a pencil brush. So this will give you a little bit of a softer yet still precise, you know, line or shape. Okay. This is a Sigma E45, which is a tapered, very pointy, tapered blending brush. This will give you an even softer line, you know, or shape yet. Plus you can do a little bit of blending right there if you wanted to. And a Sigma E25, which is the same as a MAC 217 or an M433 from Morphe, it's the same type of brush. It's slim and tapered, and this will also allow you to create a nice shape, and you can blend it out and get it soft right there on the spot. So just kind of, I would encourage experimenting with different types of brushes to create your fake crease. And if you notice, when I look straight ahead, you can see my fake crease line. And that is what you want. This is about 3 millimeters above my natural crease. And you can see now I have all this little extra lid space to work with. So now I'm going to start with some eye contouring, and I'm going to show some different brushes. I'm hoping you guys can see these. I got these up high enough. So we have a Sigma E40, an E38, and an E35. They're all pretty much the same type of blending brush in terms of style. They're just like different sizes. And I like to use this as a all over wash of color just to kind of start to bring in some, you know, bring in the transition shade. These brushes just basically do the blending for you, and they are great for circular motions. I find that pointed tapered blending brushes are good for more precise application of color, and I like them for more of like a windshield wiper, but I use a lot of circular motions with this type of blending brush, and these brushes are great. They do the blending for you. So I'm using the Sigma E35. I'm going to start with bronzer. I literally have 40 different sun bronzers, and so I'm always bronzing my crease up right up here, and it's always my transition color. Bronzer is just the way I've always done it. So I'm going to start on the outer lid, and I'm going to basically follow the shape of the fake crease that I created. And then when I get to this inner corner, I'm going to dust a little extra kind of up towards the brow. I like that Kylie Jenner effect, that kind of inner corner shading, and I just feel like it really softens everything. It softens the brow area, and it just adds a little bit more contour and a little bit more definition, if you will. I'm also going to kind of connect it here into the nose contour, kind of. So this is where I start with my shade and light. I'm going to shade above this fake crease line, and I'm shading right on my hood. So if I look straight ahead, my hood is right here, and this is where I'm shading. I am shading the hood. Now I have my transition color up in there. I have a little bit of shading kind of started, and now I'm going to deepen up the shading on the actual hood. Keep in mind that we want to create a gradient. So the actual fake crease line that we put in, that is going to be the base. So we want that line to be the darkest. So we want to have the next lightest shade will go right directly above that, and then we have our bronzer. So right now I'm putting in kind of that middle shade, and this is going to be the deepest, so that it kind of blends together like a gradient, with the darkest color being right here at the base, so that whatever color you put on your lid, you will kind of have that pop. So the lid will pop even more. And I like that contrast from dark to light. So I always keep that actual crease line the darkest. And a lot of times I go back in and I deepen this up after I've done my shimmer or whatever it is that I do on my lid, just to kind of tie everything together and tweak it up. So now I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is slightly darker than the bronzer shade that I used. And I'm going to place this not as high as the bronzer, but just pretty much right on that fake crease line, following the shape of that crease. I'm just not going to take it as high or as wide as I did with the bronzer. All right, now that I have my colors and I've got my hood shaded, I'm going to just blend now. This is a Sigma E40 blending brush. I'm also going to take a little bit of this Bone Color Light shade and just kind of use it as a blending tool shade and just kind of graze over the edges of all of the colors that I put in, so it's all just nice and airy out in here. So you can see now that my hood is shaded. I'm gonna actually grab a little bit of this here and just kind of, I always do this. I always like to very wispy out here and just kind of catch all of the edges of the bronzer and all of the other shades so that it's just kind of airy. You really don't want to do too much. I know sometimes I tend to kind of blend away a little bit because sometimes I over blend, and then I find myself going back in with my bronzer and putting back in that transition shade because I kind of over blended it. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and create a template for the outer V. So I'm going to take a little bit of this brown shade, and I'm going to start at my lower lash line. You can also start towards the base of your upper lash line if you prefer, just going in the same direction, alignment as your lower lash line. And then you want to take it, depending on how dramatic you want it. I do not like my outer V very dramatic at all. So here's my natural crease and here's my fake crease. I take it to kind of like where my fake crease is, and I kind of connect. So I sort of have this quadrant here that kind of looks like this. Here, I'm gonna try this over here. I think I get a better angle this way. So I'm gonna up this way so it's in the same alignment as my lower lash line, and I'm going to connect it to, here's my natural crease. I'm going to kind of connect it to that fake crease line that I created. I'm going to do this a little darker just for the purpose of this video so that you guys can see, and then I'm going to erase it because I don't want it that dark. But so it's something that looks like this. Here's my natural crease line right here. Here's my fake crease just slightly above it. So I extended this up from my lower lash line and connected it to the fake crease line that I created. All right, I'm going to actually soften this template line up now with this Sigma E35 brush. I'm just going to soften it up so it's not so sharp. I'm going to apply some color now into the outer V, and I'm going to take the same shade. Normally I would probably use a flat shader brush if I was going with a darker color, but since this is a fairly light shade, I'm just going to do it on here. I'm going to just lay this down, and I'm not going to take it as high as my natural crease because I want to have room to blend. I want to have some room to spot blend, so I'm just patting this on here. And you can blend it out a couple different ways. You can use a fluffy blending brush. You can do what I do, which is what I mostly always do, and that is I kind of just press up on the color. Sometimes I will go back into my bronzer, which will be a lighter shade, and I just kind of put that on top of the edge and kind of press that down. I do a lot of those type of pressing motions because I don't swashbuckle a bunch of color around. There are people that are really good with color, that's all they do, and I'm over here like tiptoe tap and a lot of pressing motions. I just feel like that works the best for me because I have small eyes. So that is what I'm doing, and now I'm just grabbing a little bit of the bone color shade and I'm just going to blend over the top of that. So at this point now with this outer V, you can deepen that up or you can leave it the way it is. I'm going to leave it the way it is, and I'm going to go into the baby wing segment of this video. All right, time for the baby wing segment. So what we're doing here is, if your eyes are slightly downturned, you want to create the illusion that they're not so downturned. And one way to do that is to add some shadow out here, whether it's just a little smudge of color, or whether it's a little baby wing, or whether it's a full blown wing, just depending on your level of hoodedness. Because if you create a wing out here and your skin fold over here, it's going to break the line of the wing. So a lot of times with hooded eyes, it's very difficult to do a wing. So a little baby wing works good, or just even a little smudge of color. That way you get the illusion that this lid out here is actually kind of lifted up. So I got 3 different brushes here, and I'm going to use all of these to kind of show you how they're used for this particular purpose. So we got an angled liner brush, we got a flat definer brush, and then we have a little smudger brush. So I'm going to start with the angled liner brush, and you can start with a lighter shade and then deepen it up to start if you're not quite comfortable with doing the wing. I usually go right on in with the black or the deepest color, but it is nice sometimes to go in with a lighter shade and just kind of create the shape and get it kind of sketched and mapped out. And when you're happy with the shape, go back in with something, you know, a deeper, like a dark brown or a black. So I'm going to take this dark brown here in the palette, and the way I usually start is kind of towards the end of the lash line. I will put in a little thicker line. So to do this baby wing, you can start out using a lighter shade until you get the shape that you want, and then just go back in and deepen it up with a dark brown or a black. I usually go straight in right away just because I've been doing it a while and I feel comfortable with it. And I started doing black, I think, right away. It's just what I did. I didn't even think to start with a lighter color and create the shape and then, you know, deepen it up. So good tip for you guys right there. All right, so I'm going to start at my lower lash line, and I always start with making the line a little bit thicker, and I start about 2/3 of the way. So I will make the line going all the way to the end a little bit thicker. I also create a line from my lower lash line extending upwards, and then I drag it back in to meet that line that I just put in. If that makes any sense. So this line is going up from my lower lash line, and then I am dragging it inward so it's meeting. So you can see I just have a little tiny little baby wing. That's all I got going on. If you want to extend it out, you can just extend the tail a little bit, but it's just a really tiny, soft little baby wing. You can, and it's thicker as you're going out here, and then thinner as I'm going in to this. You can smudge this out. I love this little Marc Jacobs smudger. You can smudge it out and smoke it out and make it as thick and dramatic as you like. Let's kind of do a little soft smoke on the edge of all of that color. And I'm just going to leave it like this because I'm happy with this. And now I got to smoke out this side. And that is literally all there is to a little baby wing. And you can just see how it just adds some definition to the look. And now I'm just stamping along the root of the upper lash line, a really thin line all the way to the inner corner. And you can see how just adding that little tiny baby wing gives a little bit of upturn, a little bit of lift, and some definition to the outer corner of the eye. It doesn't look so downturned now. All right, now I'm going to add a little shimmer to the inner corner and we are done. All right, so I am just cleaning up out here, making it nice and clean. And for me, I take my lid space as high as like where my socket bone is. So as I was mentioning earlier in the tutorial, I am placing everything, the shadows, right on my socket bone, which is up in this region right here where I can kind of push in like these soft, like the squishy part right here. So this is all my lid space. Anything above that is my socket bone, and that is basically where I shaded the hood. So now I have some definition. My hood is shaded. I have a little bit of elongation. Everything is kind of lifted up, and my outer lid out here doesn't look so downturned. So of course now I like to keep everything light and bright. You can totally keep it like this. You can just keep with this matte right here in the inner corner. You guys know that I love everything light and bright, but I'm not. I'm going to put in some shimmer, and I'm using the Gilded Desires palette. I'm just going to go in with my finger in this rose gold shade right here. And all right, this is the final look. I just added some shimmer to the inner corner, and I used the Gilded Desires. I grabbed this rose gold shade and this silvery champagne shade, which is what is on my inner corner. And this is the final look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned something. Don't forget to smash that like button if it helped you out. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of all of my future uploads. And love you guys. See you in my next one. Bye.